I will not tolerate such behaviour. If you want to go out now, but if you stand again, I will order you out. Make your mind up.
Chaos just exploded inside the UK Parliament as Nigel Farage absolutely destroyed Keir Starmer live, leaving the entire nation in disbelief. In the recent Prime Minister's Questions session, Farage exposed the incapacity of the Prime Minister with facts. What unfolded next didn't just shake Westminster. It shattered the illusion of control across the whole country. PMQ's session on October 15th, 2025, started like every other Wednesday. Loud, rehearsed and painfully predictable. Keir Starmer walked in with that usual politician's confidence. But what he didn't know was that this session would destroy more than his composure. It would shatter his credibility in front of the entire world. The clock struck 12:15 and the Speaker called the session to order. Cameras zoomed in. Starmer adjusted his tie, preparing for another routine sparring match. But across the chamber sat Nigel Farage. Silent, steady and waiting. The man the establishment mocked for years was about to flip British politics on its head. When Farage finally stood, he didn't raise his voice. He didn't wave papers or shout slogans. He simply said, "Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised results."
There appears to be some panic on that side of the House. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
To ask the Prime Minister.
That single question was all it took to trigger a political earthquake. Not noise, not theatre, but precision. Farage didn't rant, he prosecuted. One by one, he laid out the failures that had been quietly buried under government spin. 45,000 illegal channel crossings this year alone. A record high, despite Starmer's promises to stop the boats. Deportation flights cancelled after court challenges, each one costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands. $8 million a day, burned on hotel bills to house illegal arrivals. That's nearly $3 billion a year. Enough to fund thousands of new police officers or nurses.
Did the Prime Minister mislead the House, please?
Then came the part that made even Labour MPs glance nervously. The leaked documents. Pages showing secret back-channel talks with Brussels about quietly rejoining elements of the EU migration scheme. After years of insisting Brexit was settled, the Prime Minister was now accused of trying to reopen the door through the back. Every figure, every phrase was a blow to the image Starmer had built. Except here, he wasn't in control. He was being cross-examined, with the facts serving as the evidence. Around the chamber, the silence grew heavier with each number. Ministers avoided eye contact. Labour backbenchers shifted uncomfortably. Even the Speaker's usual calls for order faded into the background. Because for once, everyone knew what they were witnessing wasn't a debate. It was demolition. Methodical, data-driven and televised. Farage hadn't just questioned policy, he had exposed the rot beneath it. By the time he sat down, the message was clear. The Prime Minister's biggest threat wasn't from the opposition benches, it was from the truth itself.
I don't know who's doing the sums, whether perhaps it's the Right Honourable Member for Hackney North, but the sums do not work. And
that's the exact moment Farage destroyed the Starmer again. Not. With words only but receipts, the calm man asking questions destroyed the one who couldn't answer them. Farage dragged out the story Starmer thought he'd buried. Reform UK's former Welsh leader, Neil Hamilton, convicted of taking $120,000 in bribes linked to pro-Russian lobbying groups. Starmer had paraded it just days earlier, branding Reform a Kremlin proxy and warning of foreign hands dividing Britain. Farage flipped the script. He reminded the chamber that under Starmer's own watch, over 1.2 million in foreign-linked donations had flowed into Labour campaigns, including from lobbyists with ties to the EU and Gulf states. And here the bombshell Farage dropped. If you're going to talk about influence, start with your own doorstep. The room froze. The attack wasn't wild, it was surgical. In 30 seconds, Farage turned Starmer's moral high ground into a crater, and the Prime Minister's credibility collapsed right into it, and that's when something snapped.
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. The only process I want to go through is in relation to some of the individuals in the statements to make sure they know it's coming out. I can assure the House there's no substantive delay here. I know it is of concern to a number of people, acute of concern to them.
Starmer shot up, his voice cracking, shouting across the chamber. "How dare you? How dare you stand there and question my patriotism?" he yelled, finger pointed, voice trembling with fury. The Speaker tried to intervene, but the Prime Minister wasn't listening anymore. He was red-faced, shouting over the noise, his composure gone. This wasn't a debate anymore. It was a breakdown. MPs sat in disbelief. Some laughed, others looked away. The Speaker's voice echoed, "Order, order!" The Prime Minister will resume his seat immediately, but Starmer didn't sit. He shouted louder, calling Farage a disgrace, accusing Reform UK of undermining British democracy. And then history happened.
I order! Shut up. Shh. Neil Hamby, I am now naming you and Kenny McCaskill to leave this chamber. Sergeant, deal with them. Deal with them. Deal with them. Just sit down. Out! No, Sergeant at Arms, escort them out.
For the first time in 3 centuries, Standing Order 43 was invoked. The rule allowing the Speaker to eject a sitting Prime Minister for disorderly conduct. The gavel hit the desk, the chamber went silent, and on live television, in front of millions, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom was asked to leave his own parliament. Security moved in, Starmer hesitated, eyes wide, face drained. Then, without a word, he turned and walked out. The first Prime Minister in modern British history to be removed from the chamber mid-session.
Is that in 4 years' time, growth should be 1.5%.
The air that followed wasn't relief. It was a shock. No one spoke. The benches looked like a battlefield after the fight. Papers scattered, cameras still rolling, the Speaker's hand frozen above his notes. Within seconds, phones lit up across the room. Journalists texted editors. Hashtags exploded online. But inside the chamber, there was only one truth. The man who came in to prove control had lost it in front of the world. Farage stayed seated. He didn't clap, didn't speak, didn't even smirk. Just one glance across the room. Quiet, almost disappointed. Because what everyone saw as a meltdown was, to him, confirmation. The system that claimed to be in control was already collapsing, and all it took was one question to expose it. And just when Starmer thought it ended, there came the hits, one after another, each one sharper than the last. Then the knockout. Leaked documents reveal secret talks with Brussels about rejoining EU migration schemes. You could practically hear every jaw hit the green carpet. Farage wasn't just questioning policy, he was building a case, piece by piece. Like a prosecutor, reading out evidence at trial. Across the chamber, Labour MPs started pretending to look at their notes. And Starmer? He was frozen. That trademark lawyer face, usually calm and unbothered, had cracked. His eyes darted from bench to bench, waiting for someone, anyone, to back him up. No one did. Because this wasn't noise. This was truth. Brutal, data-backed and televised. And that's when something in Starmer's expression changed. Because when a leader runs out of answers, the only thing left is anger. This wasn't a debate anymore. This was a full-blown meltdown.
Take them out, Sergeant. Let them out. Right, we'll try again after that.
For 300 years, the British Parliament had seen shouting, insults, walkouts. But never this. Never has a Prime Minister lost his composure so completely that the Speaker had to enforce order against him. It wasn't politics anymore. It was a warning. Yes, the Speaker's gavel of Standing Order 43. That single phrase hit harder than anything Farage said. It's the nuclear button of Parliament. The rule that allows the Speaker to eject any MP who loses control, including the Prime Minister. And in the middle of that storm, Farage didn't even have to speak. He posted just 3 words: calm, steady, ready. No long statements, no press release. Just confidence, the kind that doesn't need defending. Meanwhile, Labour was in chaos, advisers in panic mode. The silence said it all. The leader who once promised composure had lost it completely. But Farage, he was just getting started. While Starmer hid behind Downing Street curtains, Farage was already drafting his next move. One that would send shockwaves through Westminster. Because the meltdown wasn't the end, it was the moment everything changed. And if that scene in Parliament was the explosion, what came next was the fallout. The kind that doesn't just end a career, it rewrites history. Inside Labour HQ, it was pure chaos. The particular chaos where no one knows who's in charge, phones are ringing off the hook, and everyone pretends they're not panicking. Meanwhile, Wes Streeting and Yvette Cooper were doing their best. We're just having a casual chat act in the corner, except everyone knew what that meant. The leadership knives were out, quietly of course, respectfully, the Labour way. You could practically hear the ambition scratching under their skin. The spin doctors were on their 3rd bottle of water and their 12th excuse. The party's internal Slack channels might as well have been crime scenes. Every aide was leaking to the press, pretending they weren't. And through all that noise, one brutal truth cut through. If the Prime Minister can't control himself in Parliament, how the hell is he supposed to control a country? 3 weeks later, Starmer's leadership was hanging by a thread, and that thread was fraying fast. Letters of no confidence started rolling in like junk mail. Labour MPs in old industrial towns, once die-hard loyalists, started jumping ship. Reform UK rallies were popping up everywhere, those red seats used to stand tall. Farage's words hit harder than ever. The people didn't leave Labour. Labour left the people. And for once, everyone nodded in agreement. Polls now rank Farage higher than Starmer in Best Prime Minister ratings. The irony? The man they called a fringe agitator was now leading the conversation while the sitting Prime Minister was hiding from his own party.